I'm just kidding. I'm not going to sign this. It's directed by John Krasinski. Written by... Why do we need this many writers? The movie's an hour and a half. It's just one writer. It's good, you know? Two at most. It stars John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, although shouldn't it be Emily Krasinski? These public deities and their names. Love those two though. Millicent Simmons, Noah Jupe, and Cade Woodward. I was so crazy excited about this movie. It looked to be the freshest horror film we had gotten in years. And when a director and his wife are starring together in the same movie and directing the movie, it could go hecka southward. Or could be just as amazing. On top of that, Krasinski's first sit in the director's chair. This was all kinds of gamble. I like that. Also, The Office, possibly my favorite show. Starring one of my favorite characters. Speaking of which, let's get it going. So here's a family of 5 with Jim and Pam leading the group. No, I'm not just calling them that for kicks. I really do not remember them ever saying their names in the movie. Huh. Well, it is kind of a silent film. Interesting. They have 2 younger boys and a girl who is deaf, by the way. Great choice. And they are working to survive in a world that is ravaged by monsters that kill anyone and anything that makes the slightest sound. What a terrifyingly awesome plot. You need great characters for something like this. And finally, we have great characters. Wow! It's the dynamic of the family in this particular situation that got me hooked. Using pieces of cloth to play Monopoly, signing to each other at the dinner table, not wearing shoes everywhere that they go together. The stage is set for a very unique and opportune way to build engaging characters and enveloping and sometimes heartbreaking circumstances. Their teenage daughter, who is deaf, it's so cool. So you hear what she hears or doesn't hear whenever she's leading a scene. An awesome effect and genius method of putting us in her place. And it succeeded. Pam was a pant. Okay, it wasn't that funny, but Jim was once again an exceptional father. Everyone was great. Finally, the acting. It's Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. I mean, really, no one's an exception, but yeah, everyone was great. And even the kids, that's weird. Well done, casting. And Millicent is actually deaf, which is just, it's awesome, because we don't really get a lot of deaf actors. And she was awesome. The dialogue. 90% of this film is in sign language, and there's really not a lot of ways to screw that up. Not unless all the characters just flipped each other off the entire movie. I took sign language for a couple of years in high school, and it's a very personal type of communication. Half of the conversation is going to be through facial expressions and body language. In a way, it's tailor-made for film. I've always believed that the fewer the words, the better. The more powerful. This proves it, because it was excellent. Not the best I've seen, but I have no complaints. All I have is praise. The story. Yeah, this is an intriguing one. And it was executed near perfectly. In a world where you can't make a sound for fear of your life and the life of your loved ones, that's a recipe for anxiety. It's rough in this movie. I have fingernail marks in my knees. Predictability. I tell you what, if you've seen the trailers for this movie, it has a twist, and it's in the first 5 minutes of the film. I'll tell you what, if you're gonna do that in your movie, you better hook your audience. Otherwise you'll end up like The Happening. Yeah, that happened. Instead, we got A Quiet Place. The new definition of fresh. This movie had me from the get-go, and I really couldn't tell where it was taking me. It wasn't trying to break any staples, but it was definitely far from cliche. Morale. Nothing too significant. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've got some great characters with a great family dynamic. No cussing, no sex. It's a very wholesome horror, if you will. I might need to see this movie again, because I should have more of a connection than I don't. But if I did watch it again, I also know exactly what to look for. The scene just... it baffles me. It's a big problem in film to be completely incompetent, and that's very frustrating if it's that way for the entire movie. But what's even more frustrating for me is when a movie sticks so closely to its own rules, and then in just one scene, particularly close to the end, it just throws it out the window. It's not the first time. It happened in the last scene of The Babadook. And it happened in A Quiet Place. There are absolutely no spoilers here, so you're safe with me. So I'm going to tell you this. It stuck to its guns about being quiet for almost the entire movie. It was practically a silent film. It's gonna seem so insignificant to other people, but there's a scene toward the end involving a truck that just completely throws out all logic. Now, I know that people are gonna say, you need to stop, it's not about being realistic, because it's fictional. Calling a movie fictional doesn't mean that it has to be unrealistic, or that it can be unrealistic, especially when it sets its own rules. It's not about being unrealistic. It's about your rules being directly associated with the stakes of the movie. When the stakes are set, don't mess with them. It's about keeping those stakes alive. And when you set the foundation for those stakes, and it's fragile enough that you can dismiss it just like that in one scene, that's not good. Like I said, I'm going to watch this movie again. I'm going to take my wife to see it because she's really been wanting to. I want to love this film, and it was great. It really was. This is why the list rating system is so great, people. Opinions change, and so can my list. For now, I'm going to put A Quiet Place at number 103. So A Quiet Place, yes. Everyone should watch this movie. I think it marks a significant point in horror film history, and possibly even film history. Did I mention the movie's scary? God, I didn't mention the movie's scary. It's freaky. So if you struggle with anxiety issues, or if you just don't care at all for scary movies, this movie's not for you. It freaked me out. Anywho, tell me what you thought about it below, because I absolutely would love to know. And to get more face explodingly awesome reviews from yours truly, then definitely go ahead and hit the daggum subscribe button and the little bell on the side so that way you get notifications of said videos, and I will see you next time on MovieSlayer.